I want to chat with you about hair coaching. And because
Sure.
you are a coach in our industry,
Yes.
and so I just want to kind of hear your perspective on like what exactly is a hair coach? What does that look like? What's some of the good, the bad of how to find the right coach, finding the right fit, and how it can benefit you. I just threw a lot of things at you, but coaching
Sure.
world, let's chat about it.
Well, first, I feel like there's been like a surplus of coaches in our industry, which I am grateful for. I love it because there's so many different coaches that coach to different things, like different aspects of our industry. So you got the social media coaches, you got the business coaches, you have all these different little nuances that you can find coaching to now.
Yeah.
But I feel for myself, it's more, we do more like mindset business coaching, I would say, with Destroy The Hairdresser. And we don't really do template coaching
Mm,
or like number business coaching. Like very rare do I talk numbers with my students. Like they know that they're doing better or growing because I'm pushing them for growth.
yeah.
So really identifying what your lack is,
Hmm.
what your pain point is. Like if you're having trouble with social media, then you got to go to a social media coach. If
Totally.
you're an independent stylist and you want to own a salon, you don't go get coached from an independent stylist. You get coached from a salon owner. You have to look at what you're trying to achieve in the industry.
Yeah.
And then if, specialties like your holistic hair school, if you want to like really learn the ins and outs, like that's your specialty is your holistic hair school. Like that's what you go. You go to, you go to the expert.
Thanks,
So
Shelley.
yes, girl. Like I look at everything as a whole. And, I'm not all my students are into clean beauty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's great. I'm still detoxing their practice because we're getting rid of those old belief systems
Yeah.
and I'm still moving them forward. So it's really what you want. So with us, it's saloning differently. We disrupted the industry. We want to like change the way we think, the way our mind works, recognizing fear, what the fear like, and taking risks. Like when I have a student and they're like, I'm going to make a change, but I'm scared. I'm like, that's the risk. Like, this is what we're talking about. Like that fear is the risk that you take. Like I was scared shitless when I signed my lease. I didn't even have a loan. I applied for my loan from the bank. I signed a lease without financing my salon. I was
Go
gonna shit a
you.
brick.
Love it.
I know. And
Badass.
then I got denied for my bank loan 2 days after I signed my lease. So it was like hustle time. But you know what? I did it. I was scared. I did it. And I'm better
Go
for
you.
it. I had that growth moment.
Yes.
So really, and then I feel like there's almost like factory coaching too.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just like group coaching because I'm in a group coaching right now with it's called Shine Accelerate, like a mastermind with Julie Solomon. And that has been amazing. That is group coaching. It's female and it has nothing to do with hair,
Okay.
but it's an amazing coaching group. But like factory coaching where there's like, well, see, I say this now, but there's some group coaching with a lot of people that I really enjoy and I love.
Totally.
But you just got to be aware of like the herds of people and not the one-on-one attention that you
Yeah.
need through coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Totally.
you really just got to see the results of the people in the group.
Yeah.
And if they're not performing and they're lost and there's no guidance, then it's probably not the group coaching for you. And if it's like $20, no,
Yeah.
you want to actually like put some money into coaching.
Yeah.
Because if I spend like I'm sure you're familiar with Fritziva, we're in Thrivers, right?
Totally. Yeah.
I spent $1,500 on a coaching call with Brit for 40 minutes. You better believe I was listening to every single word she said.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah. For $1,500, I was like, I'm going to listen to everything she says. I love her. I'm obsessed with her. And I'm like staring at her,
Yeah.
But if I'm paying somebody $30, I'm not really going to take that in. I'm just
Totally.
like, okay, just $30. So like you have to invest and be willing to invest money.
Yeah.
It's a strong energy exchange.
Totally.
And yeah.
For sure.
What's your experiences? What do you think?
Well, I sometimes when you're talking, I like wish I was taking down notes because my brain is like light bulbs into different things that I want to reiterate that you're talking about because they're great. But when you had mentioned the term like factory coaching, what came to mind for me is a couple different things. Like we'll just use like life coaching as an example. No bash on life coaching. There's phenomenal life coaches out there. But I do think there's a very like, hey, come get your certificate to be a life coach. And then here's your PDF forms that you fill out when you sign up with me. And it's not individualized. There's no specific specialty, which is one amazing point that you made. Like, first figure out what you need help with, first off, because yeah, if you need help opening a salon, yeah, sure as hell don't be coached by an independent stylist, you know, if that has no experience in that. Usually you want to coach with somebody who's lived it and done it themselves. So I love that you use the term factory coaching, because that's what comes to mind for me is that. And then you kind of touched on like bigger, large scale, and same thing. I've had experience where whatever the capacity is, like for a certain specific thing, a large scale thing where I know probably 1,000 people have signed up for this at the same time, it works because I'm still getting what I need it for. But if it's something more smaller scale, where I really need that one-on-one advice, being in a group with 1,000 people is not going to benefit me. It'd benefit me far greater to spend 4 times the amount and have that one-on-one attention. So yeah, you just threw so many little good nuggets about that. So,
and one thing too, very important, when you're looking for a coach, like a one-on-one coach, make sure that coach has a coach. So important. Yes. So I have my group coaching, and then I still coach with the co-founders of Destroy The Hairdresser, David and Sid. So I still have monthly coaching calls with them, and I'm still getting my ass kicked, just like I kick my students' asses, for growth. So they're still pushing me, and it's so important. That is one huge thing.
Love it. Another thing that you mentioned too, that I'm like, oh my gosh, most definitely is, like for me, like I'm not coaching with any, I'm not getting coached by any other people in hair industry, but I'm very heavy invested into like coaches and online education outside of our industry. And I think,
yes, I love that too.
Yeah, just because it's not hairdressing doesn't mean it doesn't apply. I also think there's that time and place where you got to look outside of hair, because sometimes
you got to get out.
And
a second opinion. You got to do another opinion.
Yes, in the hair world, I'm sure you've seen this too, is like we're oftentimes a little behind with things in our industry. And so we're looking outside of our just hair world. We can kind of use that as inspiration to exactly what you're saying, disrupt things of how we're used to doing them. So yeah, getting coached outside of hair world too, in addition to inside hair world.
Yes. And then that's also knowing where you want to go with your brand. So like I'm doing a mastermind to grow my business, the business, not myself as a stylist, the actual business. And there's digital, course marketing, how to speak, so many different things. So really knowing how you want to grow in the industry, and then finding that outside the industry.
Yeah. The last thing I want to retouch on that you've already touched on, that I think people need to rehear this, is like that financial investment and how much of an impact that can be. That doesn't mean like, oh, higher the price, the more valuable that person is. That's not always necessarily the case, but you sure as hell, if you're putting more skin in the game, you're going to try and squeeze every little thing you possibly can out of that experience. And I 100% can relate. I mean, I dropped a pretty hefty amount on someone recently in terms of business and marketing. And part of it is live, part of it is recorded. And yeah, I'm like, I anticipate watching those videos at least 5 times each and really sucking it dry, So
me, exactly. Same thing. Yes. I love it. It's so important. Yes.